is Edge of Tomorrow. This is a film that came out in 2014. The IMDb plot summary: a soldier fighting aliens gets to relive the same day over and over again, the day restarting every time he dies. This is a movie directed by Doug Liman, starring Tom Cruise, Emily Blunt, and Bill Paxton. So this was an interesting movie, especially compared up against what we just talked about, Devil Wears Prada, where Emily Blunt comes out of the gate in, essentially, it's not really a romantic comedy, but it's sort of a light comedy. I'm talking about Devil Wears Prada. So you would expect her to immediately want to kind of get in that lane. Okay, it's going to make a similar movie, Devil Wears Prada, but now Emily Blunt is the lead, or trying romantic comedies, which she did. She definitely was in some of those films early on in her career. But in this movie, she's playing an action star. And she, the context of this film where, Tom Cruise is the main character, and he is also turns into an action star by the end, but in the beginning he's basically like a PR agent for the military. So he doesn't actually know how to fight. He's bad with weapons. He doesn't know how anything works. Whereas Emily Blunt from the get-go is supposed to be like this like soldier who's really famous. She's really good. Everyone, looks up to her as like the ultimate, soldier in this battle against the aliens. And she pulls it off. You believe that she is a badass. You believe that she is a soldier. And that's a very difficult thing, especially coming from, her background, which is more like lighter movies or dramas. Doing the action thing, a lot of actors fall on their face in it. And I'm just very impressed. I remember when I saw this the first time, being like, Emily Blunt is in this. This is weird. Like, this isn't gonna work. And it really does. I mean, obviously Tom's amazing, and this movie is also just really very, very well done. And a lot of it is due to Tom. But maybe we'll do another Tom episode. We definitely will at some point. So I'm gonna save a lot of the Tom comments for that. But even the fact that Tom is so great, Emily Blunt doesn't get overshadowed by his star power either, which is something that is very easy to do when you're in a movie like Tom Cruise, which is, a true legend and a movie star. She's not lost in it. They work very well together. And I just was impressed with her being able to, again, act in an action movie and make it believable. And the movie's also just really good. So that's why I had to put this here as my masterpiece. So what are your Edge of Tomorrow thoughts, and what did you think when you first saw it?
This is my masterpiece as well. We are really matching today on
We
our.
are.
And I remember going in to watch this movie, not really expecting much. And this was the time of Tom Cruise doing like a bunch of, alien movies, Oblivion and what have you. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is like another one of those. It's going to be boring and he's going to save the day. And it turns out it's nothing like that. He's the wimp in the movie for the most part of it.
Right.
And the real hero of the movie is Emily Blunt. And like you said, she's just commands the screen totally from a physicality. There's a sexiness to her. Even though she's playing this action star, she's got it all together.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the reason for me why this is a masterpiece performance for her is because I think it taps into all of her qualities as a performer. I think
Mm.
like you can see the intelligence of this person. You can see the commitment and the rigor physically as well as just mentally as to what they've gone through to kind of achieve this success in the movie as the character. You see
Mm.
that
Mm-hmm.
great chemistry with her co-star Tom Cruise in this case. And there's also a little bit of tongue-in-cheekness. I always associate Emily being a very charming, witty person. Like she's like one of the best talk show guests across the board,
Right, right.
you know? And so you see when she's like giving Tom Cruise a hard time in the movie, there's a little bit of a cheekiness to her too. And it's a dramatic performance as well. And that's why I think this is a masterpiece because it sort of hits everything. And we were talking a little bit, and we'll get to this later in the episode of like how does one find the right role to have Emily sort of really shine. I think this is one of those because it taps into all those aspects. And then on top of it, the movie is amazing. The effects really work. You are really in awe of those battle sequences. The aliens really work. The story can get tiring if not done well, but it doesn't. You're on the edge of your seat, haha, pun intended. So yeah, I know they're making a sequel, so hopefully they do that, and it'll be fun to see those two get together again.
Yeah, no, I think as a movie, this movie too is just very underrated because it definitely did not perform very well at the box office at the time. I think they just had an issue with how they, marketed and positioned the film. But I also just love the Groundhog Day conceit of things
Yeah.
repeating. I like movies like that, and it's fun to see that translated into an action movie. But they do it in a way where it could get boring, right? You're seeing the same action scene over and over and over again, which they do a lot of those repeating, but they do it in interesting ways every time. And Tom Cruise's character is gradually getting better and better at
Hmm.
being a soldier. And there's a lot of great comedic moments too, where he gets killed in many different ways, which is
Hmm.
fun and funny to watch, especially that one scene where he's trying to roll under the car and like the truck runs him over.
Oh,
And Bill
yeah.
Paxton's like, oh my God, he's dead. And there's this like scream that Tom Cruise gives off. It's just very funny. But to your point of Emily Blunt being a comedian, I think that's why it works really well, because there is this fun, funny-ish tone in the movie at times, and she can really pull that off. And I also just too love at some point in the film, towards the third act, they reach a point where, Tom Cruise even says, "Oh, I've never repeated this day." Like this is like the day one version of what he's going through. So that's when instantly the movie has stakes again. Because it's hard in movies like this where
Hmm.
Tom's gonna die and come back to life. They're
Hmm.
gonna reset. So after a while, if you just keep going with that for too long, there really are no stakes anymore. And it's like, okay, well, what are we really watching now if he could just always respawn again because he's dead? And then they reach that point in the third act where he says, okay, this is all new to me. I think it's some line like that, which I think is great. It's like, oh shit, like now there's stakes again. What's going to happen? How they actually going to beat the bad guy? Because Tom doesn't know anything anymore, and it turns into basically just a straight ahead action movie at that point. I think that is just really clever in the script, which is I think the strength of this film and how they adapted. I've not read the original manga for this, but
Hmm.
I think they just the structure of this script is great. It's just a perfect star vehicle for Tom, especially at this point in his career, and also for Emily Blunt to stretch into the straight ahead, more action, action adventure comedy role, and she does such a good job in this. I had to put this for me as Emily's masterpiece, which what you might not think when you see her coming out in Devil Wears Prada. In that role, that she could eventually achieve something like this as an actress or be in a movie like this. So I think it's just a testament to her skills and how she's managed her career up to that point. Hi there, it's Alex. If you like the review and discussion Karan and I just had, make sure you subscribe to our channel, Movies That Shaped Us, to get full episodes. Every other Wednesday, Karan and I review a new release and then discuss 6 other movies made by that film's actor or director and how they shaped us. Subscribe right now or follow our podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts via the link in the description below. Hope you join us for the journey.